Hi, my name is René Martinez. I have been known as Guitar Tech Extraordinaire, Tech to the Stars, Have Tools, Will Travel. This is the last itinerary of Stevie Ray Vaughan touring, right here. That was summer of 1990, and after we finished this tour, that was it, and then we went to Alpine Valley. I remember going into Chicago. This is where they had us stay, and I believe that Alpine Valley was about an hour and a half away, something like that. But it was a bill that Eric Clapton put together, and I thought it was pretty cool because we had a chance to meet him, and he was just a cool dude, just a normal, everyday, cool bro. And so was everybody that was there, Robert Cray and so on. But it was 3 days of music. It was 3 shows, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And for some reason, they had put us together a crew car. They gave us a rental car, so we had to drive from our hotel in Chicago all the way to Alpine Valley. And once we get there, then we can do our setups and so forth. But for the band, they decided to do something different. And they decided to go ahead and get helicopters. And I think it was the Clapton entourage that decided to get helicopters to bring the bands back and forth because of the multitude of people that were going to be there. The traffic would have been crazy. It would have just been too much. They wouldn't have gotten there on time, and so they just didn't want to do that. I remember being backstage, everything's set up. We're waiting for our guys, Stevie and Double Trouble, and they finally get in, and I see the helicopters there. And I thought, wow, cool. And I saw Stevie and I said, man, how was it? Was it cool? And he goes, man, it was a little freaky. I go, well, what happened? He goes, nothing. It was just a helicopter ride. I don't know if I like to do that. And I thought, oh, it's just the jitters, you know, nothing more to it than that. So, but that's how they decided to go back and forth from Chicago to Alpine Valley. And so we did our first show there, and I had never seen so many people in my life at one show, let alone all 3, and they were sold out. So it was a big deal, and Eric had already said something about Stevie Ray Vaughan was probably the best guitar player in the world at that time, in a magazine article with Fender or some magazine. I can't remember exactly how that went down, but truly a moment that was being recognized by a multitude of people, and Eric and Robert Cray. We did our first show. Everything went great. Came back the next day and did our second show, and we drove back. Everything went great. And then the third show, getting finished it up. And this is going to be our last show as far as our tour, because our Stevie Ray Vaughan tour was just ending with this 3-day event, and we were going to go to Europe in a couple of weeks and start our own tour and tour Europe, and then go on from there, go into the studio maybe, I don't know. So the last show was coming up, and all kinds of people were backstage, and I mean all kinds of stars and guitar players, and I mean everybody came out to see the show. It was just one of those things. And we also had a sit-in every night. Everybody would get together and play and jam after the Eric Clapton show. We had like 1 or 2 songs where everybody came in and sat in. And I remember it being a little bit of a problem with our stage manager. Stevie wanted a lot of equipment on stage to do the sit-in, and he was not very happy with all the Stevie stuff. And finally Stevie just came up to me and says, no, that's okay. Just put me one amp up and 1 pedal, and that's it. And that never happened. And I thought, well, I can put whatever you want to, Stevie. It don't matter what he has to say. He goes, no, that's fine. We're just going to sit in and have some fun. That's all I need. That'd be good. Thanks, though, Rene. So I thought, okay, cool. I got an easy night, you know. And so we went ahead and started the show. Robert Cray played, and then it was our turn to come out and play. And Stevie and I had this ritual of changing a guitar pick, and he showed me this the very first day that I started working with him. He would get a guitar pick, and I would get a guitar pick, and I would put it in my hand, And then he came over and he shook my hand, and he would grab the pick that way, and he'd have the pick, and then he went on stage and he played. So that was our thing that we did before every show. And then we might do something like, get each other a hug, or say something like, "I love you, man," or "Have a great show," "Break a leg," whatever. And so it was our turn to go on stage. We were already set up, and they were waving us, "Come on, it's time for y'all to get on stage." And Stevie come up to me, and we did the usual pickup, the guitar pick in the hand, and we exchanged that. And then he came over to me and he gave me a hug. And he gave me this hug that I had never felt before. He hugged me like if there was no tomorrow. And he kept hugging me, and he kept saying, "I love you, Rene." And I just said, "I love you too, Stevie," gave him a hug back. And he goes, "Man," he says, "I just love you, Rene." And I said, "Well, I love you too, Stevie, but we got to get going. They're telling us to come out on stage, So he finally let go, and we went out on stage. He looked at me real good, and he held me like this and just gave me a big smile. And we went out on stage and gave him the guitar, dressed him up, started playing the guitar. I went over to stage right like I usually do, and I knelt down, and I looked at him, make sure everything was fine, all the amps were working. And then I thought, wow, that was strange. He's never hugged me like that before. And then I thought, get out of it, come on, get back into guitar mode, everything's fine. So, and it was, the show was great, he was playing fantastic, even for a third show. Sometimes on the third show, 3 shows in a row, and maybe you don't play as good or something like that. Not him, he was giving it his all. Best guitar playing I've ever heard, just flawless, And the show ended for us. We grab all of our stuff like we normally do, because set change, Eric Clapton's coming on. And I run out there, grab all of our stuff, and get it all off stage. And I get a message from backstage saying, "Rene, Stevie needs certain things for the tour that's upcoming." And I said, okay. So I had to put up all of my stuff, and then I had to go backstage and grab what he wanted me to grab in the dressing room and go and pack it so that I can have it. And I go backstage after I put up all of my gear in the truck, and I'm going backstage, and I see Stevie Ray Vaughan standing there with a bunch of people talking, and I see this, they're like in a gazebo, and I see him, and he is in this light all by himself. And I thought, this is strange. And I'm walking backstage across, looking at him, and as I'm walking, I'm looking at him as I'm walking across, and I still see him in this light. And these other people that are around him were not in this light, but there was a gazebo there. And I thought, oh, he's probably standing in that one spot where this light has got a hold of him. But it was funny that this light got a hold of him completely. It wasn't just like a shining light on the top. Anyway, so I went to the dressing room, I got what I needed, and I'm coming back, and lo and behold, here's this light again. And I double take on this light, and I looked at it like, what is going on here? And I looked up at the gazebo, and I don't see a shining light standing on him or flooding on him, but I see this light around Stevie Ray Vaughan, and only Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I go back up on the stage to finish up my job, and I did a double take again. I looked behind me to look at him again, and there he was, and I just thought, wow, that's so strange. So finished my job, and then went and sat down until the show was over, and then the show was completely over. That's when we can move all of our gear into the trucks, and we got all that stuff done. But there was, in Alpine Valley, it's I believe it's a man-made ski slope or a resort, and there's parking below the venue itself, like where the lodge house is. There's some parking, and our bobtail truck was down there, and I told the guys, we're gonna have to stop and get this stuff that Stevie needed and put it in some of the work boxes. And they said fine. So they gave us rental cars, to travel back and forth. So we were in the car waiting to take off to go out, and it was foggy as can be. And I put it in gear because I was driving, and there was a guy in front of us with a flashlight, and you can see the helicopters lined up getting ready to taxi off. And the guy just said, hold on, stop, wait. And my buddy says, well, what's going on? He says, I said, they got helicopters getting ready to move. You got to wait for them to move. We'll just sit here and chill out. Here we are in the car, air conditioning, we're fine, And helicopter 1, helicopter 2, 3, and 4, and fog maybe about 12 feet high and on up, and you couldn't see a thing, you know. And so I rolled the window down to hear the helicopters leave, and the last one that took off, I heard the motors on the stage. There were motors for the truss lights. You could hear them, these chain motors, you know, going up and down. And so it was that quiet, and you can hear that, and that was all that we heard. And then when the last helicopter took off, the guy was flying, shining his flashlight, saying, "Come on, you guys can go." So we drove down, got down to the bobtail truck that was down in the parking lot, not very far away. And from down there, we're putting stuff up, and you can hear the chain motors from the stage. So it was that quiet. There was that kind of noise that was there that night. And we did our thing, and then we got in the car and we took off and went to the hotel. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, no, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call that Stevie Ray Vaughan was not found, that they think that he's dead. And it just blew my world, thinking, well, what happened? And they were saying he was involved in a helicopter crash. And I thought, oh man, you know, which one? Well, apparently it was the one that had just taken off, and I still couldn't figure out what. Well, they finally find out that the last helicopter that taxied off was the one that he was in, and that it went into the slope and behind it, and then just crashed. But like I said, there was chain motors going on. I had the window down. I didn't hear no or nothing. I didn't hear anything like that out of the ordinary. All I heard was chain motors go up and down, and that was the last time I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan.